experience, as well as other life experience. Either the people or events at camp have profoundly impacted their lives. This week we'll hear from a staff member who came to Agawam this summer in kind of an unpredictable way. That's the way things happen at camp occasionally, not necessarily in a straight line. That's okay. Originally beginning this summer as a volunteer, Admiral Daniel Webel joined the staff in the second half as he begins to embark on a new job right after camp season concludes. Well done, by the way. Today, Admiral will be discussing a few different topics and how the experience of camp helped him grow, learn, and become the person he is today. As you will hear later, Admiral was a camper from 2005 through 2007, then was a camper again from 2012 to 2014, senior club in 2015, a volunteer in 2016, and some volunteer years also snuck in here and there throughout the last couple of years. And believe it or not, he is a first-time staff member this summer. Admiral has brought broad life and camp experience to us this summer, serving in a variety of roles, but can most commonly be found in a sailboat. We appreciate all the experience, both Agawam and otherwise, that has brought him to us this summer. I am very pleased to introduce to you Admiral Daniel Webel.
Thank you, Doc, for the kind introduction. Good morning.
Good morning, Admiral.
I can't help but smile standing up here today. I've always dreamed about giving a Vespers talk, and just hearing that call and response gives me so much joy. And it's just another box checked off my camp bucket list. And it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be standing in front of you all today. Welcome to the parents, family, and alumni here with us. Thank you for being here. Today, I want to talk about one idea. Small actions matter more than you think and echo further than you'll ever see. But before I get into that, I'd like to start with a song for us all to sing together. So please open your songbooks to page 42. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Brown trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to see the world for once, while standing hand in hand, and hear the echo through the hills, or reach throughout the land. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. A song of peace that echoes on and never goes away. Thank you. And I picked that song for reasons that will be clear soon, and I really appreciate you all singing with us. Next, I'd like to bring up three campers to share a few quotes that encapsulate the message of my speech. The speakers I chose today are some of the kindest boys in camp. Our first speaker is Cal, 13 years old from Windham, Maine, and this is his 5th summer at Agawam. His first 7-week summer was in 2022, and the year every parenting visiting day was canceled because of COVID. A first full 7 weeks and not a single visiting day is one of the toughest hands a first-year camper can be dealt. And he took it in absolute stride, something that I truly would have struggled with myself. And by the end of that summer, he was fully immersed in the camp. He had his friends, he had his footing, and he had proof that he was tougher than he thought. And he owns his camp experience, and he carries the Agawam spirit like the best of us. And our second speaker is Bel. Ben is 9 years old, and he's in his second summer here. And for years, most of us knew him as Cal's little brother. Come up on visiting days, and instead of heading to Vespers, he'd post up in the office. And the staff joked that we might just put him on the schedule. But when Ben finally arrived for his own 7-week summer at 8 years old, there was no adjustment period at all because of Cal's lead. He showed up and hit the ground running and following his brother's footsteps. And our third speaker is Leo, 11 years old in his third summer at Camp Agawam, and he's from South Orange, New Jersey. And I only met him a week ago. And that was all it took for me to realize that Leo is the type of camper that we can all aspire to be like. And like Ben and Cal, he's a perfect example of a camper who exudes the Agawam spirit. When he's at an activity, he's bought in, ready to learn, and I've had the pleasure of helping him work towards his crew. And he takes other campers under his wings, and he's one of the most respectful, kind, considerate campers here. So let's please give a warm welcome to Cal, Ben, and Leo. Come on up, fellas.
Whatever we do affects everyone and everyone else, even if it's in the tiniest way. Why? When a housefly flaps its wings, a breeze goes around the world. The Princess of Pure Reason.
People forget what you said. People forget what you did. But people never forget how you made them feel.
From them, love issues these 3 rays. Be kind. Do not embark in service instead. Be upward. Do your share of work. Be joyful. See the joy of your life.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, like to bring up the camper choir, but first I want to tell you why I chose this song. I chose "You Got a Friend in Me." I picked this one because of something that happens here that I don't think happens many other places. Over 7 weeks, you make friends, but eventually they stop being friends and they quickly become family. You don't decide to do it, it just happens somewhere between morning dip and taps. So boys, please come on up. Exactly where you all are today. And I mean tiniest literally, as I came at Camp Agawam at 6 years old. The youngest camper allowed here. My first 2 years I was a day camper. I was here for the day, home at night. And I got that privilege through my mom, Agent Judy Webel, who came to work at camp so she could immerse herself in the place that her 2 oldest boys love so much, and so that she could bring both JP and me as well. And fun fact that our family was first brought to camp by Bosun Bill Archibald, whose son Cooper, is he here? No, he's up there. Oh, Cooper, my man. And Bosun was my dad's roommate in college, and I am so grateful that our dads met all those years ago. I still vividly remember my first council. I already knew my band was Mohawk, and I was still somehow convinced I'd be sorted wrong. That year, the Half-Blood Prince came out, and all the boys were reading, and so I think there was some talk about the sorting hat potentially getting me into Slytherin, maybe. But we walked up that council hill in the pitch dark, up towards the glow of the council fire, and the whole camp watching as we got our honor band. And we were welcomed into our band for the first time. And I didn't just have 3 older brothers that night, I had 40 in my band. And camp during the day was a dream. The nights, they were another story. Even with my entire family there, I was one of the most homesick campers you could ever meet. And I know exactly how that sounds. It doesn't seem to make any sense. And I was just as confused by it as some of you may be hearing it. But going from a day camper to a real camper was harder for me than anyone could have expected. And I remember evening activities winding down, the sun starting to set, and this lump in my throat beginning to form as I dreaded the night ahead. Hoping that somehow tonight I get to go home like I used to, but now I was 8, I had to stay. And some nights were easy, and other nights I cried and cried to my counselor, hoping to get back to Major, and she'd cave and drive me home or let me sleep in her cabin. And she wasn't allowed to, she had to follow the rules. But it's a hard thing to leave your hysterical son behind for someone else to deal with, and I sure did put on a show. But what got me through more than anything was Chief Garth Nelson and Captain Esty. 2 men who, frankly, scared and killed them at first, and who turned out to be 2 of the most compassionate people I've ever known. They never made me feel bad for being scared. They just helped me find enough courage to just stay one more night. And Cap took me under his wing and called me DJ. His name is Deal James Esty. My name is Daniel James Webel. And whenever you see me, I remember calling out, "Hey DJ, how's my favorite DJ doing?" And he just helped me consistently feel like I belonged here. And eventually I couldn't keep up the courage to fight to stay, and I left camp for 2 years. And I tried day camp at my school, I tried a sailing camp, but nothing came close to what we have here at Agawam. And the first thing I want to leave you with, and I hope this helps you fight some of your own fears, is that avoidance and anxiety are a cycle, and the only way out is straight through. Avoiding something scary feels incredible in the moment. Just pure relief, like, thank God I got out of that thing. But here's the trap, is that your brain quietly files away that relief as proof that the thing that you're afraid of really was dangerous. And so the next time you face it, the fear is bigger, more real, and avoiding it feels even better. And every lap around that loop, it becomes scarier and scarier and harder to break. And I only broke out of it when I ran out of exits, and I came back for a full second half with no option to leave early. And I couldn't avoid the fear, so I had to face it head on, and that made all the difference. And I wish I learned that sooner, because you can talk yourself into being genuinely terrified of something just by running away from it long enough. And here's what I love about this place. Nobody just tells you to face the thing that you're afraid of. You get an entire community standing behind you while you do it. And now the second thing I want to say, and this is what I really wanted to talk about more than anything, is that small actions make impossibly big impacts. You've probably heard of the butterfly effect, the idea that something tiny can set off something enormous. Far bigger than anyone could have predicted, and Cal said it better than I can. When a housefly flaps his wings, the breeze goes around the world. And when I was in middle school, a camper named Will Nash taught me how to hand whistle. That's it, that's the whole thing. We weren't even friends. We didn't meet at camp, we just happened to ride the same school bus. And he was in high school when I was in middle school. And one day on that bus, he showed me how to cup my hands and make a whistle. He wasn't even good at it himself yet. He just taught me the basics. And I wasn't able to get my hands to whistle on that bus that day, but because he showed me it was possible, I practiced and practiced until I finally got it. And years later, Cox and Will Nash and I ended up at camp together. And years after that, we ended up living together in New York City for 2 years along with Scout Luke Narania. And at some point, I brought it up to Cox on the bus, the hand whistling, and he has no memory of it. Not at all. Like seriously, zero recollection. And just think about that for a second. One of my formative memories, my childhood, learning a fun skill that I love comes from someone who doesn't even remember doing it. And I remember, and because I remembered, I've taught countless people in my life how to hand whistle because I was very appreciative of that day. And some of the people that I taught are sitting in this room right now. And I don't know how this is going to go, but I want you to raise your hands if you know how to hand whistle first. All right, that's pretty good. Now, keep them up if you learn how to do it at camp. Wow, all right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, that may not seem like a lot of hands, maybe it's a lot to you, but those hands will multiply year after year as we all teach more people. And it just takes one person to start, and the impact continues. And here's my favorite part, is that some of you that I taught have already gone on to teach someone else. And one of them was Leo. And who shortly after I taught him, he turned around and taught Hugh Smallman. And so Hugh can hand whistle today because of Coxon, a guy who's never met, a guy who has no idea he's the reason Hugh can hand whistle. And Leo read the line a few minutes ago, an act of bargaining service. That's all it was. One small thing on a school bus almost 15 years ago, forgotten by dinner. And it's still moving through this room today. And I now look forward to hearing who Hugh teaches. And now, I'm not up here because I think the world urgently needs more hand whistlers, even though I think we could use a few more. I'm telling you this because it's the clearest proof that I have of something that I want you to actually believe. One act of kindness, one moment of patience, one thing you never think twice about can multiply for years and years after you've forgotten it. And it works with things that matter a lot more than hand whistling. When I was a camper, I went on the Lake of the Clouds hike, and I was struggling. Scout lead, Ranger Clark, showed me a kind of patience and encouragement that I still think about today. And they turned a hard day into one of the best camp memories, and they did it just by being kind to a kid who was having a rough day. And I doubt either of them fully remember that trip, but I remember playing hearts in that hut. I remember Scout gassing me up for shooting the moon and calling me strategic, even though I actually just did it accidentally. I had no intention of shooting the moon. And I remember Ranger telling me I was funny when I had never once described myself that way. My brother JP, he was the funny one, and he was always told that. And it wasn't until Ranger told me I was funny that I started to believe it too. I was too. Years later now, as a counselor, I want to give campers what those two gave me. So their kindness didn't stop with me. I try to pass it on to every camp I work with. And that's the same multiplication as the hand whistle. It just matters more. And another one is that Jack Neer, one of the best athletes this camp has seen, he was ag captain during what was statistically speaking a catastrophe of an Agawam season. We got crushed over and over. And what I remember from that season is not the losses, it's watching Jack shake hands, congratulate the one, to keep his head up, and get us all to do the same. He taught an entire team of boys how to lose graciously, and that's a much harder skill than winning. And Jack may think back on that season as a failure, but it taught me something that I've carried throughout my life. And that's the good direction. But the multiplication, boys, it runs both ways. And I'd be lying to you if I only told you the nice half. Cruelty compounds too. A lot of people who are mean were treated badly by someone else first. And they pass it down the line without really deciding to do it. And that's a cycle. Exactly like the avoidance cycle I talked about, exactly like that one. Somebody has to be willing to break it. And the good news is that breaking it is not complicated. It's just kindness, offered when it wasn't offered to you. So here's the question I want you to ask yourselves. I want you to ask it more than once this summer. Do you want to be the kind of person who builds people up, or the kind that tears people down? And I think the answer is obvious, but what's less obvious is that you don't become either one through some big dramatic moment. You become one of them through 100 tiny choices nobody's watching you make. The joke you don't tell because it would land on somebody, kid you wave over to your table, or the 5 minutes that you spend teaching somebody something that you already know. And Leo read the second ray from the Lamp of Love, be helpful. Do your share of the work. Now at camp, you hear that, you think barrel and ground, sweep the porch, do your part, you time to clean up, and that's definitely part of it. But the biggest job in this place isn't on any list, And every camper here is quietly building something. A summer he's either going to treasure for the rest of his life, or maybe just try to forget. And doing your share of the work means taking some responsibility for how somebody else's summer turns out. And nobody expects that at cabin cleanup, but it's some of the most important work that you'll do here. The third ray, be joyful. Seek the joy of being alive. An important word there is seek. At camp, it's easy to think that joy is just going to come to you, but it won't. You have to go get it. There are 100 ways to find it here, but you have to seek it. And it's all of us that make pom-pom pull away an amazing game, or buzzball, or frisbee tag the best games. It's not the game itself, it's the people playing. It's very easy to feel like you're too young or too small to change anything, so you wait for the opportunity to do something big. But meanwhile, the opportunities to do something small are in front of you constantly. Every meal, every optional, and every walk up that hill. I learned the biggest version of this lesson when I was 15. That summer in my required pre-camp physical, the doctors heard a murmur in my heart. And after multiple follow-ups, they discovered I had 2 holes in my heart. And I needed to leave camp early to have open heart surgery. It was terrifying. And I leaned hard on something this place had been teaching me since I was 6 years old. Be brave. Courage is the noblest of all attainments. And it wasn't only frightening for me, my friends were scared too, especially a young camper named Drew Strobeck, who went down to woodshop before I left and made me a little wooden whale to wish me luck. A little wooden whale. It was a small gift, but it was only then that I realized the impact that I made for him. And that kind gesture helped me be brave, not for myself, but for Drew. I still have that whale today, and a gift he gave so young, I don't know if he remembers it, but I sure do. A week after my surgery, my mom brought me back to camp and told me explicitly, be brave, Danny. Those boys really need to see that you're okay. And I wasn't ready. My chest was still freshly wired back together, bruised and swollen. But the second those campers saw me running down that road, the boys came running. And they ran so fast that Major, terrified on my behalf, had to yell, "Don't hug them, please, like, give them space, he's still recovering." But I will never forget that moment or the love I felt from those boys. I thought I was coming back to make them feel better. I had no idea how much they were going to do for me. I went back to be brave for them, but they are the ones who made me brave. I learned what real kindness looks like from my mom, Major Webel. Major came to this camp for the Webel boys, but the best thing she ever did was this, is that once we had all left, she stayed. And she stayed for all of you. And she's one of the kindest women you will ever meet in your life, and I try to be like her more every single day. And I've never once regretted it. So that's what I'd ask of you too, is find the kindest person you know, and try to emulate them. The ripple and echo of what she's done here in this place are hard to even comprehend. And it started with small actions. It was an extra blanket for a kid who was a little cold at night to keep them warm, a pen somebody could write their letters home, or time on a porch with a boy who wasn't sure he wanted to stay. And that time spent on the porch, the office, has helped turn countless boys from homesick campers to campsick. From counting the days until they could go home to counting the days that they could come back. And she would tell you that she was just doing her job. And every one of you has that same exact power as her. Today, you don't have to do something extraordinary. Notice someone. Include someone. Teach someone. Encourage someone. Be kind. Be patient. Ben gave you a line that I'd like to cement in all of your brains if I could. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's the golden rule of likability, gentlemen. It's not about being the best athlete down in Forbes Field. It's not about being the funniest guy in the cabin, or the smartest in the room, or the one with the most decorated honor band. What people actually remember, and what makes somebody genuinely beloved, is how you make them feel about themselves. And I could stand up here for hours listing names and stories at this camp of who made me feel good about myself when I needed it most. And some of them are sitting in front of me right now, and many may not even know it. And so I urge you, choose kindness every single day. It will serve you better in life than any skill or any award ever will. And better than that, it will serve the world. And just one more last thing about kindness, because this one took me far too long to learn, is that you have to be kind to yourself. I didn't think I was funny until a ranger told me I was. I didn't think I was strategic until Scout said so. And that's usually how this works. You borrow somebody else's belief in you until you're strong enough to hold it yourself. But eventually you do have to hold it yourself. And so be as generous with yourself as you're being with the camper in your bunk next to you. Sorry, I lost my place. Because once you believe in yourself, there's very little in this place or outside of it that you can't do. Live by the lamp of love and let it brighten not just your worlds here on Crescent Lake, but your friends, your school, or whatever community you go home to in August. Years from now, they might tell a story that starts with your name. Maybe they'll say, he taught me something. Maybe they'll say, he invited me to play. Maybe he made me feel like I belong. I still hand whistle, and it still brings me joy, and I'll keep teaching people how to hand whistle, and I'll try to pass on everything that this place gave to me. And 12 years ago, those surgeons closed 2 holes in my heart, but it's this place that filled it. And so before this day is over, before dinner tonight, go do something for somebody. You will almost certainly forget it, but they won't. I love this camp with all my heart, and I've been here when there's no campers here, and it's obvious it's not just the grounds that make this place special. What makes it a place that I truly love are the people here, and that make it a place that I cherish. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for keeping the spirit of Agawam alive. I love you all. Thank you. I know that was a little long. Thank you so much for your applause. To conclude our Vespers talk, the counselor choir will sing Imagine. And I chose it for 2 reasons. The first is personal. It was my favorite song to my papa, Major's father. And we're lucky to have my Nana right there today sitting with us this morning. And secondly, the song asks you to imagine a world where people look after each other and nobody is left outside of it. Most people spend their entire lives imagining that. And I've been coming here on and off for 21 years, and this is the closest I've ever seen to anyone actually building it. You don't have to imagine it here, you just have to keep it going. So, come on up.
One
words about overcoming challenges, small actions leading to big impacts are the heart of the Agawam experience. And for many, the experience here is stepping out of your comfort zone, doing what feels scary, uncomfortable, challenging, or doing an act of embargoing service that may one day change someone's life. It's funny how at camp, how the big moments end up being small later in your life, and the little ones end up being bigger. Think about that the next time you speak to someone in the dining hall, or teach them how to fish, or help them during cabin cleanup. We only have a week of camp left, and you have the opportunity to not only make your summer great in the next 8 days, but ultimately, you have the opportunity to change someone's life for the better by one act of kindness, one act of positive engagement. As Admiral noted in his speech, choose kindness. Thank you, Admiral.